Welcome back. This is the Defy All Odds podcast. We're so excited to speak to you today. We have so much to cover on real estate today. Real estate news, New Jersey related, national stories. But before we get started, and actually, I do want to talk about the premiere, the pre-screening of the All People Free documentary film. We're so engaged with that. But here are some of the stories we're going to cover. I mean, there's a ton of them. Let me see from the summary, if I could read them to you guys so we could see what's coming ahead. We have, and let me just get to that page. We're going to cover agent pay versus the glamour of a real estate agent's lifestyle. We're going to talk about Zillow versus Compass. Zillow versus Compass. You heard about that? Also, Compass did a massive acquisition. A 40,000 agent company just purchased Anywhere. They bought Anywhere Real Estate. 300,000 agents. They went from 40 to 340 agents in one deal valued at $1.6 billion. We're going to talk about that. There's this $1 listing went out in Newark, New Jersey, ended up with a $550,000 sales contract. We'll cover that. Energy costs in New Jersey are getting out of control. How does that impact real estate in the future, housing in the future? We'll cover the mortgage market. We're seeing interest rates drop and how that had an impact in applications. We'll talk a little bit about tragedy and unity. I think it's important regardless of the fact that we're a podcast on real estate and we try to keep it real estate. There are just some things we can ignore because we have different opinions. Even on this podcast, we're brothers. We have different opinions, and we want to talk about unity, even in tragic situations, and especially in tragic situations. And before we go into this episode, we are promoting the All People Free documentary film. It's so exciting. This is a pre-screening. The very first one in the Northeast is happening on October 17th, 2025. This is at 7 p.m. It's going to take place at the City Line Church. The doors open at 7. Be there. We're going to add the link to register. It's an Eventbrite link. We're going to add it to this episode. So Nick, you hear what we're doing here. Add this link so that you guys can find it. Join us. You be our guests. Be a Defy All Odds guest. Be a Provident Legacy guest. Be a Issa, Jacob, Hanna guest at that event. We'd love to have you. There's limited seats, and we're just so excited about this documentary. We got involved a lot in this documentary.
Absolutely, and I really want to ask you a question, Issa, about this, because I know you are the executive producer for this documentary, and you've been to Pakistan and all these other places. Why should people really go?
This really good question, Hanna. For those that don't know, I took a trip 3 years ago. My brothers knew, my wife knew. It was a pretty scary trip too, because you just don't know. Things are a little dangerous. But it was one of the best trips of my life because it helped me put a definition to something that I believe, something that I practice when it comes to missions. You know, I've been doing missions and supporting missions and doing that through the local church, my church, through partnerships, through family, through friends. But when I went on this trip and I got introduced to the magnitude of this problem with slavery, we want to call it modern slavery. When I got introduced to this issue and I saw it face to face and I had to be confronted with it, I couldn't go back and just say, okay, well, we're going to write a check, for $1,000, although we've done that on many occasions through our company, through events, etc., and then free families from slavery, because all I'm doing is empowering the owner of these slaves to go and buy more slaves, right? And so I thought about, how do we go and bring awareness to this issue, because I didn't know. And I thought I knew quite a few things at this point in my life, but I didn't know the magnitude of this issue. And I guarantee you, if you're learning about this, you probably didn't know. I spoke to professors from Harvard professors, university presidents that don't understand the magnitude of this issue. So it's not your fault. It's not my fault that I don't know. But what can we do about it? So I started to beg Duda Penteado, our partner, who co-founded Unshakable Productions with us. This is back in 2017. Duda came on board. We founded Unshakable Productions and started to launch documentaries. The guy is brilliant. His gift in film is specifically documentaries. And he's been, the interesting about Duda is he's been winning an award. He won an award for every single documentary that he's ever published, right? Through Unshakable Productions, because this is his company, and we have the honor to be in partnership with him. But this documentary hasn't even been released yet, and it already won 4 awards. 4 awards already through film festivals, and so. It took me a year to convince him to take this radical trip with me. And we brought our pastor, Bishop Joshua Rodriguez, who's crazy enough to leave behind this guy is a bishop. He's responsible for so many people, so many pastors, so many churches, so many movements. He founded so many things. He does so many, to risk his life to take him on this crazy trip with us was insane. So the 3 crazy dudes, we went that second year, and we got to meet the crazy guy that founded this organization, Ben, who you guys got to know, Ben Nichols, such an awesome guy.
I think it's crazy is a big word. I think just big-hearted people. Crazy and love with people.
But if you think about it, we're big-hearted people, but we're still taking a risk, and that's the crazy part. When I was on the airplane, I wrote to my wife. I wrote to her a text on the airplane saying, if something happens to me and I don't come back, I listed at the time I had this mortgage and that mortgage and this, and I have a death benefit and all. I was instructing her what to do with the money, what to do with the company, what to do with the interest of this, and I have interest in that. And she was taken aback. But for me, while I was exercising that, doing that exercise, it was a reality for me. But in doing that, it made me realize that, heck no, man, I'm coming back because I'm not afraid of what we are always afraid of. The biggest fear is death. And I started to say, you know what? I'm going to go. Bring it. What's going to stop me from going? And it really awakened a fire in me 3 years ago. And if you're not afraid of death, you're not going to be afraid to recruit. You're not going to be afraid to build your company. You're not going to be afraid to do radical things that are important, radical in a good way, radical in terms of a force for good. And so this 3-year journey, a year later, we brought Duda. Bishop is the one that introduced me. Bishop and his friend Ben's dad, Bob Nichols, introduced me to Ben. They said, go meet with him. We met up, and that's when I went on the first trip. The second trip, they came with me. By the third year, we're launching a documentary. We're bringing this trip now to you, so you don't have to go, but now you get the awareness, and it's winning awards. We're just scratching the surface on this, and you build a film company. And you go through the pains of building, and you guys are part of it. You've seen it. Even funding a film company, it just doesn't happen on its own. It needs sustainability in between the films. When there are no films, who's carrying all of that, right? What I call the invisible partners that make an operation work, and that's you guys here. And so we now do this documentary. We're now 8 years in Unshakable Productions, and now this thing is taking off. What happened in those 8 years is we got enough experience. We've done enough documentaries. We just have the right team, the right people, the right cause. Everything fell in place, and this documentary is already taken off. All of that to say, I want you to come. I want you to come. I am honored to be a co-producer or not co-producer. I'm a producer. I produced this thing. It was produced by me, Duda, and Ben, and we have associate producers, and just so many people came behind it. It's unbelievable. And I executive produced this along with Ben, and we get Duda as the director of this film. And so what an honor. We all know these people. We know the people at the top of this documentary. And so we know it's the intention, the integrity, the responsibility, the weight of this. It's so important. If you're in real estate, if you're in sales, if you're in business, if you're an entrepreneur, I want you to consider anchoring yourself to a cause. Anchor your company to a cause. It gives you purpose. It makes the fight worthwhile. Right, Jake?
Yeah, absolutely. Just to, again, reiterate, October 17th, City Line. Join us for that pre-screening. It's going to be awesome.
It's in Jersey City, City Line Church, and the link is going to be in the bio. Right, Nick? Yeah, thumbs up from Nick. It's going to be there. Awesome. Good stuff, guys. So you want to dive right into this. Let's go right in. So, real estate agent pay versus by the way, pay and glamour, because the pay comes with glamour because of the Instagram posts. I don't know any real estate agent that doesn't close on a house and post about it and post a picture and the cutout key and or the prompts and whatever and videos and the balloons and the champagne bottles, right, that they pop when they have a closing. That versus the reality, and we're gonna focus this in New Jersey, right? We have the data for the whole country, but let's take a look at income reality in New Jersey, right? While nationwide averages for real estate agents range widely, New Jersey still hovers around $50K to $75K a year. That's the salary of the average agent in New Jersey, $50,000. 50 to 75,000. And so there is a very high failure rate that a lot of people don't know about. And I've been teaching on this in my Defy All Odds courses at Provident Legacy. A staggering 87% of agents quit within the first 5 years. And that's due to the easy entry. We'll talk about that. We have a real estate licensing school that doesn't really make it that easy. We actually set our scores at 10% higher than the state to get agents more prepared before they get into the business. But after that, there's a lack of preparation. Jacob, you could comment on that a lot.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna
support
say.
And structure. So let's talk about glamour versus the reality, and what are how do we fix these problems?
So preparation is key, but preparation comes in different stages and phases. So preparation before you do a sale, right? You have to know what you're doing, know what you're talking about, share the knowledge and experience, be a part of a team that has done X amount of deals in the area, real estate broad, in the area that you want to dive into and service the people that you're servicing, and preparation to be able to give that 100% to them. But at the same time, when you're closed, when you're done, the deal is done, are you preparing? That's why the statistic says 87? That's
87.
Right,
87.
Within 5 years.
87, man.
That means 13% stay. What does that also mean is that people that close, they're not thinking preparation means the future. You need to prepare for the next deal, the next client, the next service.
Yeah. Part of the problem is they're not treating this as a full-time job. They're doing it as a side hustle. Real estate is never really designed to be a side hustle. It could start as a part-time job that you're building into full-time just during a transition period, but it's not a side hustle.
We hear that a lot when you go to the real estate conferences and you're hearing speakers, and it's always one story. It's like a real estate agent got in there, closed a deal, made like $100K in the one deal, and then felt like that's going to be the lifestyle of being a real estate agent. But that's not true. Everyone will have that kind of low bearing fruit at one point or another in real estate, but it's
most of the time it's not that. They have to climb up that tree. They have to make sure they're secured. You know,
I mean,
like
think about it.
everything.
You're spending the most amount of money you'll ever spend, which is going to be on the house. A house is going to be more than your car, more than your favorite car. You're going to spend 300, 400, 500, maybe $1 million to buy a house.
Yep.
Are you going to trust the part-timer, a side hustle guy to do that for you? Think about that. You're spending more. If it requires a full-time person to sell you a car for $20,000, right? How much more do you expect someone to be full-time when you're buying a $500,000 property, right?
Yeah.
It's just like the side hustle thing is a gimmick. Don't fall into that. You need to do real estate full-time.
Also, the grass is not greener. Just like we hear that all the time. Like you got to put in the work, just like any other business, right?
The grass is greener where you water it, right?
Yeah, and also, I think we need to be more realistic with our postings too. Like at Provident Legacy, we're very consistent. We're under promising, over delivering on posts where you see, for example, just like the shots are super wide angle, and you go to the house and it's like, wait, the room is not that big. So, you know, we have a great professional photographer that takes more realistic photos. If anything, they look a little bit smaller, which, you know, you go there and
More
you're like,
realistic.
okay,
Yeah, I get
yeah,
what
more
you're saying,
realistic
yeah.
than the opposite side of just the wide. That's just one example of talking about glamour and how what it is in reality. So
Yeah.
and I agree with the full time. I don't know if we have any data on percentage. How many full timers do we have in real estate versus part timers?
I mean, we have over 2 million realtors in America. 1.5 are realtors, actually. 2 million agents. 1.5 million realtors is dropping a little below that now. There's like a 80-20%.
It's always been,
rule.
yeah, that's what I was gonna say. It's always an 80-20 split, but from that, so 20 full-time, 80 part-time, or 80 that are on and off, if you will. Sometimes they're, you know, they free focus and they stay for 6 months or a year and do really good in real estate. Yeah. But the key point from that 80 doesn't mean they're not inactive or not doing anything. And I've seen success stories from part-time agents that are regularly closing like 3-4 deals, and they're making the side hustle of 30,000-40,000 income every year, and that works for them. That doesn't mean that that doesn't mean that's not a success story within itself. That's a success story for them. But the folks that are doing it full time, if they're bringing in under 50, which is the kind of like the national average between 50 to 75 in New Jersey, it's a tough life. It's a tough grind. That's 5 sales. That's not a lot of sales. Like, yeah, there's a decent amount, but it's not a lot. In New Jersey, the volume is higher, so the percentage tends to be higher, right? Whereas like in other states, might be like 300, 400, the average sales price of the house. So the income is less, but also the income can be less because the price or the cost of living rather is less there. So it makes sense. For here, 5 sales is I would say 2 to 3 is part-time, and 5 and up would be full-time. And that's tough.
Well, one of the other pitfalls is the lack of accountability.
Yeah.
So agents that are not accountable, they tend to not make the money. They just don't.
Some people don't want that because you're an LLC, you're an agency, you're single, you're your own boss, you're running your show. Maybe you have a team of coordinators. And
that's the biggest misconception about being a boss, by the way. Being a boss requires even more accountability, not less accountability.
But that's not the image that's what's portrayed. So, but being your own boss or running your own show, being a like this contractor, real estate agent, accountability means that you set your goals and somebody's there to help you reach them and hold you accountable to what you do. So you can't go on vacation every month and say, oh, your sales stay consistent.
Yeah, especially because this is, everybody gets into it, or majority of people that get into it because of the flexibility, right? Yeah. But that flexibility comes at a cost. Like you said, accountability you want the flexibility, but you also need accountability. So someone that's coming from a part-time job or a full-time job somewhere else, I know it's better if they already have a flexible job somewhere else. Maybe that's a easier way to transition into real estate.
Yeah. I mean, what we're seeing is agents come in, they have initial success, but they're not. Accountability creates the ongoing success. So the initial success doesn't come from accountability. It comes from I studied, I passed the state exam, I better make this thing work, and you close your first deal. The problem is after you close your first deal, it's a nice paycheck when you close your first deal, and a lot of people are not used to that sum of money up front. It is 3 months that you worked on this deal. And so when you see the money, you're seeing, oh my God, this is 1 day of work. It's not 1 day of work.
Yeah.
So you see $15,000 in one lump sum from a sale, or $25,000 from a sale. I've done a sale where it was over $90,000. You've done one was $96,000. This is not a 1 day income,
and also it's not.
And they're not always normal. Yeah. And so my point in all of this is that you get a little bit of money and then you just relax. You relax. Oh, okay, this is going to be good for the next 3 months, so let me just relax for 3 months. The problem is it's going to take you 3 months to repeat, or longer, because you lost the momentum. And so I was sharing earlier. Especially I was sharing earlier when we were reviewing for the podcast. I think the guy's name is Goldberg, the wrestler.
Yeah.
When we were growing up, he had this saying, "Who's next?" He would beat up his opponent, and then once he wins the match, he's like, "Who's next?" Yeah. That was the phrase, "Who's next?" And then I think, and I love it because it's very sporty, right, and competitive. And then you have people like Grant Cardone, which he in my opinion, he says something similar, but I think he adds like greed to it, and kind of like, and for me, it ruins it.
I know what you're saying.
And he says, he's to motivate you for the who next. He says, wake up and say, who has my money? Who's got my money? He has this phrase, and people are buying into that. What you're doing is you're activating greed rather than activating your need to contribute and service other people. And so what motivates you to keep going after that deal? You have more people to serve. And the more people you serve and the more problems you solve, there's more money to get paid. The people that solve these problems, they get paid for solving these problems. And so it's not about who's got my money. It's such a disgusting way for me. I don't know about for you. It might work for you, but for me, like, to look at people as people who have my money, no, that's not my money. I have to earn it. Yeah. I have to solve problems for them. But who's next, from a competitive standpoint, is nice. It's like, who's next? Where's the next listing? Yeah. Where's the next challenge? Where is the next problem that I can solve?
What's my next step? What's my next level? It's kind of like leveling up in a way, or repeating the same success. But going back to that, you're quoting a couple of different.
Throwing Grant Cardone under the bus?
Well, I
not
think,
an idol.
Not idol.
Don't have any idols.
What I wanted to just point out in that little bit, give him kind of like, because he's not here, right? Give him a little bit of a leeway, a runway, is that I think I definitely don't think he treats people as like a number of dollars. I don't think that. I think people usually build success, but when you want to differentiate yourself on others and be outspoken and sometimes being in the media's eye, you have to say some ridiculous stuff. And that's kind of on the borderline of ridiculous. Like they say, "Where's my money?" And like, where's my who's my next paycheck?
Victim. That's what it sounds to me.
Yeah, it sounds like that, and it's a bad way to.
It's like, who am I going to rob next? Think about that. Like, a robber is thinking, all right, who's next? I just snatch your chain. Who's the next chain I'm going to snatch? Who's the next person I'm going to take? It gives me those vibes.
Guys, in reality, I think he's speaking off camera, on camera, the same. Sometimes I hear, I don't want to share anybody's name, but somebody makes, hey, make the deposit, right? Or people joke around, and you guys know what I'm talking about. But the point is,
everybody knows who says, "Where's the deposit?
Where's the deposit?
We have a guy.
we have a guy, right?
for that.
But that's my point, guys. And
But that's different because
But
it's
yeah,
more of a
just
joke.
This
This is a
that's
joke.
what
Yeah,
I'm
it's not a
saying.
money. Yeah.
But Grant Cardone is not he's not joking. He's selling a philosophy, and he's capitalizing on that, and he's tapping into everyone's need for money and greed, because we have that inside. You don't want to activate greed. You want to activate generosity. Another day for that. But in terms of like circling this back into new agents coming
Or
in, they
experienced
close their
agents.
first deal,
It's
even
not-
experienced
yeah,
agents.
like, so people
Don't
5 years
get
plus.
comfortable with the closing. Celebrate, pop the bottle of champagne, but get to work the next day. Don't sleep overnight. Get to work the next day. And so,
And one thing I will add, which I'm kind of going through.
dude,
that
what
now.
are you doing? We're in the middle of a podcast, dude. Close the door. You know what it is? You heard make the deposit. We said make the deposit. Dude walks in looking for his deposit. Come on, you set yourself up for that, bro. We're trying to protect you.
Bro, oh my goodness. But that's what I'm saying. Like, it's just, there's a line of, like you said, a joke or not, but going about what's next, right? So I had a situation where I have a building for sale, and now with our challenges of selling a building or whatever is happening, sometimes the opportunity to solve what your current inventory is what's next.
Yeah.
I'm gonna get a next building. I'm gonna list, and that is actually gonna help me solve my other issues, not my issues, the seller's issues, but I'm here to solve those problems. So that's, for me, is also kind of what I'm learning.
So I think the takeaway about that is that just don't relax in real estate to the point like, okay, you could celebrate today, but tomorrow's back to work, and to motivate everyone, especially the ones that don't have a process in place, a pipeline built, or a process to build that pipeline, to make sure the next day is a working day. It's not, hey, I got to relax on the couch. I just got this big paycheck. I could live off of it for 2 months. I have the time to get there and still survive. But the reality is, if you do that consistently, kind of like almost like a paycheck to paycheck approach, right? If you think about it, and you fail. You get tired, you get exhausted of that process. So it's you want to full-time building a business, you're building your empire, you're building your life, your family's life, and you have to be consistent. I
have 3 questions for both of you, and I need a 1-sentence answer, okay?
we're
Question number 1. Why does the glamour of be your own boss misleads new agents? Hanna.
Because maybe they had a bad experience with old bosses, and they want to do it, they want to try it, and it's not what they think it is. Once they do it, they realize they're working harder than if they were just clock in somewhere, clock out. That's it. But
it's a conception that your boss does nothing and tells other people what to do.
Exactly.
Got it. Jacob.
I have another approach about it. I agree with you, by the way. I just also believe that when somebody steps into the unknown, like a new business, we know within the first 2 years of any new business, they have a high potential of failing. So it's kind of like that. They're entering an unknown, word of mouth, research that doesn't actually play out the physical steps that they have to walk in to get to that image, the glamour. So I think they just don't know that the steps actually they're way heavier. Like, talk is cheap, whereas walk is the talk, right?
Yeah. I
Bishop
see
mentioned,
agents.
by the way.
I do see agents. I don't see agents posting all the deals that fell apart, all the listings that expired,
Yeah.
all the overpriced listings, all of the difficulties getting sellers to accept the proper price, the difficulties getting buyers to sign a buyer agency agreement.
Imagine that
They
video.
don't post that. Yeah.
Imagine that video. It's like, just lost a deal.
Yeah.
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 Issa and
You-
Jacob.
you would be posting
And that's,
every day.
I was going to share is Bishop mentions that when we hear him say, like, people want your glory, but they don't know your story, or
Yeah.
they don't go.
Yeah.
They don't want to go through the story.
And that's
right?
that. I like that. That is why the glamour of be your own boss. We're seeing the glory only of somebody, and it's not really glory, because when you look at it, it's just one deal for the whole year. There's no glory in that. We present it as glory, so it's even false glory, by the way. But you're right, even glory, like a real glory of success, nobody wants to know the story that got you there, and nobody wants to work through that story. And so, but here I have a second question. Is easy licensing harming long-term agent quality and retention? Easy licensing, the requirements, the barriers to get licensed. In New Jersey, in Georgia, for example, it might be different. Every state will have their own rules, but New Jersey, it's a 75-hour course. We have a real estate licensing school, by the way. Shout out to ProvidentLegacySchool.com. We're licensing a lot of people, but our standards are actually higher in terms of the quizzes we have for each chapter and the final exam. It's higher than what the state exam requirement is. The state exam is you got to score 70 or higher. Our school, we have it at 80 or higher, and actually we might up that to 85 or potentially 90, because we really want students not to leave our school unprepared.
I think
but
that's
to
a
be
broker level
prepared,
course, 85. And then you go to instructor level. You have the test becomes harder. So that's good. I mean, you want agents to leave your course knowledgeable, very knowledgeable, so that they pass the exam on their first try, right? A lot of people are like, oh, I'm going to go try it out. They fail, obviously, because they don't prepare for it. And then we're like, okay, well, I need to prepare because now I have a list of things I failed with. So, I mean, that's a strategy, right?
Yeah, but going back to your question, Issa, which is the entry, right? I think the entry is very easy in terms of let people in, let them try it. At least for me, from my perspective, I see it as easy, meaning
it's
that,
a money-making system for that side of the business.
The state requirement is one thing, but I believe after meeting the state requirement, the state is just teaching you what you need to know in terms of, and not do. For example, you need to know what year is the lead-based paint year. Like, that's an important year.
Yes.
1978. Everybody should know that. But are they teaching you how do you get your first client? What to say to a seller to differentiate yourself from other people? No, they're not teaching you these skills. So what needs to be what needs to take place is training on that, and no one is doing that.
Yeah. At least on the level of the commission.
We're doing it. We're doing a lot of that. But here's the thing. We cannot regulate that. That's why we can't regulate that as a necessary course. Like, after your 75 hours, we need you to do another 75 hours on business practices and closing skills. This you have to obtain on your own. That's why people that come with these skills already and then come into real estate, they do much better, because they already worked in a different sales capacity, have done high-level service before, and they tend to succeed. One of my friends she worked for a marketing company. She was very successful. She went into real estate with a lot of marketing background and did really, really good for herself. She did $25 million in sales her first year. Amanda, I don't know if you remember Amanda. I love Amanda.
That's really good. That's
she had experience.
Way above average.
Yeah, she had experience in areas that you're not going to learn in school for pre-licensing. And then she brought the pre-licensing with some support of her brokers, friends in the business, and she did really, really good. But for the person that doesn't have a marketing background, doesn't have a sales background, they need to build that up too. Those are skills that are essential. Third question. Could these systemic issues have fueled the recent commission lawsuit? Do you think these issues of like entry is not that high, the entry barriers, plus the lack of accountability we talked about, this glamour, do you think that had fueled the recent commission lawsuit where the person that just got licensed earned 50 grand on a deal? They don't know what the heck they're doing. And sellers are saying, well, I just paid someone who just got licensed 50 grand. I haven't made that type of money in my life in my regular job that fast. What do you think this contributed to it?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure there's a possibility of, it's not like every seller or buyer is 100% happy with what the process. It's a rigorous process sometimes. So it's like who do like point the blame? Banks? Is it the lender? Is it the inspector? Is it, and then having to dash that out at the end and seeing your bottom line, your net proceeds. Yes, you're gonna point at the person that got the most money, right? So that could be it. That's a possibility. Just going back to like just the accessibility and how easy it is for people to get licensed. Now you take the test in Spanish. You could literally
now in New Jersey you could take the course and the test.
Yeah. So Spanish. Think about it like that. It's nice. I'm all for it. It's great. But imagine somebody that speaks no Spanish. Now you can't help that agent cannot communicate to the parties. Well, now they have software and embedded translators. So it's going to be a lot easier down the road. But it does kind of create a barrier for a person that doesn't speak Spanish and wants to communicate with an agent that solely
I'll give you an
Spanish.
example when you talk about language, because I ran into this just this week, where an agent who's been doing this for like 20 years, by the way, is listing the property as a state sale. A state sale. So the state of New Jersey is selling the property. That's how it's positioned. But it turns out to be an estate sale. It's an estate sale, not a state sale. Two different things. And when I'm speaking to the agent, I'm asking them, is this an estate sale? And they say yes. So I'm like, is this a state sale? And they say yes. They cannot distinguish the difference. And the estate
is owned by an entity like temporarily for somebody passing or like somebody inherited it.
Yeah, so
versus a state selling a property because it got foreclosed, it's owned by the town or municipality.
Correct. It's
it's way two different approaches.
So, those nuances, like they exist, they're rare. But I ran into it this week.
Yeah,
I wrote an offer on a property this week.
Yeah,
that's advertised as a state sale, not an estate sale. And I try to you gotta be like,
is the agent really at fault at that point? Because that's why they have to be in a brokerage. They have to be sponsored to the broker. So who's the broker is
not paying attention either.
Exactly.
That's a problem in our industry. But look, we run a real estate brokerage. Yeah. You're the broker, Jacob. Would you let that slide?
No.
Would you let that listing go up that way?
No, we have to correct these things right away
ridiculous.
As soon as we see them, and that's why we have a team in administration.
Had received so many offers because it's a distressed property. It drew a lot of investors, etc.
Yeah, that can't happen.
You're bringing that much attention on.
Yeah. But that's also a time of look. Like if that does happen, and it could happen, those things. It's a moment to educate.
Yep.
The broker says, hey, come, I understand, here's the differences, and let's not have it happen again, because it will confuse the buyers and the agents. Obviously, it's like, well, is this and that, and then they think it's the same, but it's not. So but that's just one word, right? There's so many things. Just communication becomes a lot more difficult when you allow that to happen as a regular thing without some foundation of a basis. Because as a real estate agent, they don't tell you, oh, you have to finish a certain level in college, or you have to be 18. We know that, right? You have to be 18 to get your license. Should they have a education limit, a minimum education limit? I think
now
that's
it's high school.
Yeah,
And
high school.
18 years of age.
Does the high school individual know an estate sale versus a state sale difference?
But they should know that in school. So those
They
are things
should.
you learn
Yes.
in your 75-hour
But the
education in New
yes,
Jersey.
when you're writing state, the word state and estate, yes, you should know the difference in them right away, just by definition.
But this is not a new agent, by the way.
Correct.
20 years. And the person was yelling at me because I'm trying to educate them. They're like, I've been doing this for 20 years. I'm like, okay.
You've been doing it
there's
20
some
years
things-
wrong.
There's
It's
some
okay.
there's some things you just don't want. There's some people you don't want to educate because they don't want to be educated. And it's okay. Zillow versus Compass lawsuit. Okay. What's going on here? So Zillow is now forcing agents to post listings to the MLS within 1 business day, or they will risk removing it off of their website. And there's a lawsuit there with Compass. They pushed back, they sued, they filed an antitrust suit arguing that this policy limits agent flexibility and seller choices. This is ongoing. This is an ongoing matter. Meanwhile, breaking news. Compass just acquired for a $1.6 billion deal Anywhere Real Estate. Anywhere Real Estate. Nobody heard of Anywhere Real Estate except those in real estate.
Yeah.
The world knows them as Better Homes and Garden, Century 21, Coldwell Banker, Corcoran, ERA, Sotheby's International. Yep. And so all these brands already are owned by one entity.
That's crazy.
Anywhere Real Estate, 300,000 agents.
Yeah.
And Compass, 40,000 agents. They make a deal to acquire them. And so in the middle of this lawsuit, by the way, I think they're flexing now really hard with Zillow. It's not 40,000 agents represented by Compass arguing. Now it's 340,000 representing 18% of the market. 18% of market share.
Round it up, 20%, 1/5 of the whole agency,
all the transactions
agencies in the United States.
And
yeah.
so Zillow has some serious thinking to do about this.
Yeah, but I think
I know you're defending Zillow. So what's your defense of Zillow?
So when a company does suggest to you certain things, they got to be very careful. Like there are certain things about Zillow that they do very, very good and right. But there are some things that they don't. For instance, this I don't think they're on the good side, because a lot of agents can, first of all, how do they know, Zillow knows, that this is a real listing? What if an agent maliciously starts listing random stuff just to get buyer leads or whatever, and they don't have an exclusive to do it?
Well, not just that. We're seeing homeowners. They're taking listings from homeowners,
Correct.
Which means they're not verifying if they're the real homeowners.
Correct.
And so people are taking listings.
You can take it as a manager or whatever it is. Yeah.
Correct. People are taking false listings, and definitely that's bringing a lot of problems, because they're setting themselves as property manager. They're getting phone calls, and they're scamming people. They're scamming people with application fees. They're scamming people with deposits.
Yep.
I've had this happen to me, by the way. I was an agent. Somebody took my listing. This was like a $1,300 listing like 10 years ago. And they may have used Craigslist. Yeah, a rental listing. And they advertised it for $800. So they were getting a lot of eyeballs on it. And somebody fell for it, came to the property, saw me there. I happened to be signing leases and doing stuff. And they were like, I'm here to pick up my keys. And I'm like, keys? What's your name? No, you're not. You're not on this lease. This is already leased. What do you mean picking up keys? Oh, I was working with somebody and I already sent them my money. Yeah. We already knew it was a scam.
So it's happening actually in our brokerage here. we as much as we educate and we make we tell our agents to do the right things, other people outside can steal, like just normal people can steal those listings. We put the pictures, they just take our photos, they put it up there on Zillow or Marketplace or whatever they put it on, or they're allowed to put it on.
Natasha was sharing earlier from her office,
and they try to
stuff.
scam. Unfortunately, because we have certain things, ads in place, so we get to capture them. So if people are generally curious, so they're gonna dig in, investigate, and once they dig in, they're gonna see our number, they're gonna call, hey, you have this listing, is this person listing it? And if they do that, they save themselves.
But Zillow's trying to stop that, you're saying?
I think in this case, yes. I think in this case, like I said, the other features suggestive, like when you go on Zillow, you'll see a bunch of plethora of good information on Realtor.com and similar sites as well. What I don't like is when they have suggested price, that they want you to suggest it, which sounds cool. Hey, I'll get this property because the market's crazy. I'll almost guarantee to get it at this price point based on the data they're gathering of what's being sold in that market and what that price point is.
So Zillow, we're saying they're on the side of transparency here.
In this particular case, I think so, yes.
They're on the side of agent
limitation or
exclusivity, or agent strategic exclusivity, where you list the property exclusively for a few days and then put it back up. I mean, I put an offer yesterday on a house that's listed exclusively through a broker, and all he has a sign outside the building, but you can't find any information about the listing. I called him directly and I put an offer on it. He's like, I'm not paying any commission.
Oh, you're talking about exclusive agency versus exclusive listing, for the public and for the other agents.
There's agents that want to, or sellers that don't want their listing on the market. I don't know why in the world they don't want it on the market.
There are a couple of reasons, but not good reasons.
I've had one guy list something off market with me, and he told me, my sister-in-law is a broker, my friend is a broker, so many other people in my family are brokers. They're going to kill me if I list it with you. But here's everything you need to know about these bills. And this was like 98 units for sale or something. He gave me all the things. He's like, if you could sell it privately, hit people up in your network, etc. And we worked. I understood his position. That's different. But in this case, there's people that list on Zillow to get the clients to work with them directly.
Correct. They're
and then they're telling agents, a form of farming. They're telling agents, if you come and bring me an offer, there is no commission for you. Although they signed a 5% commission agreement, 6% commission agreement, they're keeping all that commission to themselves until a certain date where they have to put it on the market and cooperate.
Yeah,
and I think what they're doing is
a lot of red things there.
So Zillow's trying to stop that, which I like that.
Yeah,
I actually
do like
that.
Yeah.
And I'm on board with that. I think, having strategic exclusivity, I think there's room for it. Yeah, but let's say you have a coming soon listing. Yeah. Like, I got the listing, but we're still painting. It's going to be ready on Friday. Today's Monday. You list it. You can't show it till Friday. You have these few days.
Yeah.
I think
So the coming soon thing, I have, this is going to be like maybe completely different direction that you're taking.
By the way, we're going to split this episode in two, by the way, because we're just on our third bullet point. We have so much to say.
Yeah, but specifically to coming soon listings. Coming soon listings, if they're not a build from scratch being built, it's completely BS. Complete disservice to buyers.
And sellers. And sellers, because sellers...
Yeah, and sellers because they can't buy it now. Like, somebody's going to put an offer, it's like, it's coming soon. I mean, I won't show it to you. You can't, like, you're deceiving the buyer because they're just creating the hype. And it's almost like saying, I have a really good company coming up. It's going to make a lot of money, but it's in 2 years. You know, you want to buy, you want to pay this price now. It's like, I don't know what the company is. I don't have the financial, I don't the you know, the expenses.
I mean,
it's
that's
kind of like that.
No, that's kind of,
I know it's stretching,
there are some laws in place for within the MLSs.
Correct.
About coming soon. Coming soon cannot exceed X amount of days. I think we should eliminate the whole coming soon.
Coming soon
altogether.
should be eliminated. It
That's
doesn't
my
matter.
position on it. Like,
It's
you
not.
could put a coming soon sign on the building,
Yeah,
but don't
put it on
coming
MLS.
soon.
Don't put it on the public.
Yes,
where you're advertising. Look, it's different because it's like they happen. Businesses do this, right? Like if you're coming soon, like an Arby's or like whatever, just a random
but that's
company.
different because it's unlimited product.
Yes.
It's not one house. It's
correct.
Unlimited burgers coming soon. You know,
Yes,
it's
yes.
iPhones.
Correct.
You know,
It's
they create a hype, but
exactly
everybody
that.
could have
It's exactly
access.
that. It's servicing
That's
the
different.
public,
That's
the community.
property.
This is deservicing the public and
Well,
the community.
I think coming soon in a sense of what Issa was saying is because if there's a strategy, you don't want to have a property days on the market for too long, and you're just pretty much ramping up everything you can before it goes on the MLS. I agree with you. I don't think it should be coming soon on the MLS, but I think coming soon before, it's good. I think it's good because it gives access to.
You know why they allowed that? There's one reason. Because what happens with coming soon is that you have a listing that you know is coming. You have it. A lot of agents have it. We all have listings coming soon, right? But the MLS wants you to put it on MLS to enable more cooperation. There's a good reason, a good cause, but the reality is that's not what's happening. That's what's happening is the complete opposite. Buyers are going to that agent, and there's going to be dual agency more often. And then what happens? You're upset because you have a really good buyer, you put a really good offer, and the house is selling overpriced.
Yeah, let me.
Because of that
I'm going to take the
competition.
opportunity. I'm going to take this opportunity and just speak to you that are watching. How many owners, brokers in your company where you work are having these conversations with you? If you have a broker that talks like this, that is gold. That's gold. Stay there. Nurture that relationship. Bring your difficult problems to your broker. If you have that open communication with your broker, that's a good place to be. I don't care what company it is. I don't care what your commission split is. I don't care what everything. It's very important that you have a broker or a team of brokers or a team of owners, people that are knowledgeable, that are running the company that you're in. If you're there and you're engaged with them and they're engaged back with you at this level with every deal, that's a good place. But if you're not there, if you are in an absentee owner, absentee broker kind of an environment where you, or even team leader, absentee team leader, you could have this. And so we are interviewing. And so we'd love to have you consider Provident Legacy. Consider Provident Legacy. Consider this, having this on your fingertips.
We try to make it
day.
easy.
And so,
even though it's
guys,
not.
We are going to continue this discussion. We're going to take a break and continue this discussion, but we're going to maybe table it in a separate episode because there's so much content in this one. We had a lot of tech issues earlier in the day. So we're going to continue this. We're going to take a break. But before we do that, just want to say, All People Free documentary happening October 17th, the pre-screening plus Q&A. We're going to have the filmmakers there. Duda will be there. Ben will be there. Bishop Joshua Rodriguez will be there for the Q&A segment. You get to ask questions about the issue. It's going to be a very unique opportunity. So go to Eventbrite, look up the Old People Free documentary, or just click on the link in this YouTube channel because Nick is putting up the link there. Okay, if it's not there, let me know because we'll have to talk to Nick. All right, guys, until next time, we'll see you in the next episode.